Hello and welcome to my channel on human design. Today this upload marks the 200th one that I've uploaded to the YouTube channel. And I thought I want to give you something special. You know, my loyal viewers and those that are discovering me, I want to give you something really special for this 200th edition. And I was wondering what it would be. And I thought of the 200 and I thought of the duality and I thought, yeah, maybe we go to one of the big questions. Maybe we go into the question of what the program really is. Those people that first come to human design and they often say, well, is there any spiritual nature to human design? And of course, those of you who've been looking into it know that there's a whole mystical side to it. And in one of Ra's courses that I have film on, he goes into the detail of that. So I wanted to give you a treat. And so this is about the hierarchical nature of the Maya and the fact that there are always going to be other forces outside of the human control mechanism. But in answering the question, what is the program? You know, we think of ourselves as patterns within the program, and we show the patterns and we live the patterns out, as you can see through the human design chart. But what's behind it? And in answering what's behind it, what is life really about? After all, these questions that we struggle with as humans. So who better to introduce to answer that question than Uru Hu himself? You enjoyed the last video I put up with him. So here is the answer to what is the program. What are the Pleiadians? What is the influence of stars? And other such mysteries in a few minutes will be revealed.
Personality crystals are also at the core of specific stars. Now, one of the things to recognize about personality crystals and stars is that stars are programming agents in and of themselves. And a personality crystal embedded at the core of a star focuses and fuses the nature of the neutrino stream through its crystal, thus giving it or endowing it with a personality. There are people who are Syrians. You know, there are people who are Pleiadians. There are people who have access to a sensitivity to the neutrino feed coming from those stars. All stars, particularly I will lay them out for you. There are specific stars that are part of governing the way we work. Now, please don't misunderstand that. The ghost doesn't know it's a ghost because we call it one. It's just a crystal bundle. The star isn't a personality. It's not like there's Pleiadians. We make up the Pleiadians because that's the way we translate the frequency. But the frequency is from, well, Alcyone. It is from the heart of the Pleiades. And what you're getting is you're getting personality information. Now, again, the way we translate that is dependent. We can go from imagining them, giving them body shapes, putting them on ships, bringing them to us, calling ourselves them, all of those various things, but to just understand the simplicity of that. They're programming agents. And it's essential for us to know them. The Pleiades and the Dipper, the Great Bear, these are in every holy book of every religion in the world. They're all there, and they're programming agents. So it's important to see that we have a hierarchy of influences and that we have primary influences that are going to impact on how we are going to progress in our life program. And that the programming, and by the way, they're not originating the programming. That's a question I always get. Where's the programming come from? Life programs life. It's built into being alive. The program is a living, moving thing. And what it does is that it mutates because it's a living, moving thing. The neutrino density is always expanding. Stars are always producing them. And new neutrinos by the unbelievable numbers are being produced every instant. In other words, it's life itself. And the program grows as it moves in its complexity. It just does. And the job of our consciousness is to keep on reducing the resistance, to allow the form to work more and more and more and more perfectly. You know, so if you look at the ancient graphings of the heavens, which are wonderful things to look at, you can see all of this movement downwards. You know, there's God at the top, whatever the thing happens to be. And then, you know, you have whatever cherubs and this and that and ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, and you keep on working down. Well, this is the cosmic hierarchy. This is the way it works, and it works out of those fractal movements. Right? Now, the thing about it is that so many of these crystals, well, they get to come into form. I mean, they act as more than programming agents, as you see. Many of them incarnate. Many of them come into our world because, after all, this is one of the primary reasons why there is life. There is life in order to fill form with consciousness. That's the whole program. That's the program that has been going on forever. Forever. How do you get consciousness into form? I mean, forever. You know, that is the job. And of course, the problem with that is that, as we know, energy and matter can neither be destroyed, they can only be interchanged. And it means that you can't actually put one into the other until you discover juxtaposition. In other words, the moment that you understand that it's not about putting one into the other, but it's putting one beside the other, and you both let it go. You know, you both just let the binary roll. Okay, so here, in this configuration, you're looking at the very, very first hierarchical fractal structuring. Okay. First, the business of the center. It's not the middle, and this is not a riddle. Imagine you have a crystal and you pass a beam of light through it. So let's imagine there are two centers. Let's imagine that you take the band crystal and you put a light through the band crystal. You're going to have an image that's going to be on the wall, right? Now imagine you go ahead and you take that band crystal and you smash it. You shatter it into zillions and zillions and zillions and zillions of fragments. And you take your light and you put it through each of those fragments. Now each one is going to have a unique image on the wall except one. And one is going to have exactly, in microcosm, the exact same image that was produced by the whole. That's called the center. And it doesn't mean it's in the middle of the crystal. It's simply the center. And by understanding that it's not in the middle of the crystal, it does not have an even fractal. Think about that. That's something to really understand. It means that the center itself can never, by itself, influence everything, even though it's the microcosm of it. Because it's not in the middle. It's one of the limitations of what it is to be human. And it's one of the limitations of consciousness, is that we are limited by hierarchical structure. We can only go so far until the form changes. And as you'll see, our whole development is about the mastery of that. You know, again, cloning, the creation of life, mastering the creation of consciousness in form. You know, this is our whole trip, because this is the trip of life. You know, life is about, you know, filling it up with consciousness. We don't know that. Oh shit, we do not know what the light is. We're struggling with the form. We're building the floodgates. We're opening up the channels for light to come pouring through. You know, when I do somebody's design and I do the design aspect and I talk about tunnels, we're the tunnelers. Let's build this neural path here. You know, each of us with our little unique work. But building the neural path itself is our experience. It's our experience. It's what we think the thing actually is. And then later comes the light. Whoosh, you know. And it goes through there and it's totally different. It's not building, it's riding. It's taking advantage of what's been done. It flies beyond that. That's our job. Open up the ways.
Now, I was going to stop there because that was a very beautiful way that he was describing the experience of life. But it is the 200th anniversary upload, so I want to give you something else, and especially bearing in mind what's going on in the world at this time and the fact that we know we're in the middle of a transition from one cycle to another. I also wanted you to hear a little bit more from Ra on the forces that come into this plane at certain times, which makes quite a lot of things a lot clearer when you see it in that perspective. So once again, enjoy this one.
The ban and the two are historical pinpoints that are representative of turns in human consciousness and stand out greatly when they are not coupled with each other. When the ban comes into form and it isn't linked to the two, it can be Buddha. When the two comes into form and it isn't linked with the ban, it can be Caligula. The ban and the two together come after the beginning and before the transition. That's the only time that they appear. And every other time that they appear, they represent either forces that we would describe as dark or forces that we would describe as light. Forces that we would call prophets, saviors, saints, whatever the categorization you want. And of course, on the other side, villains. And there's been a lot of them. There's a lot more of them than there is of the good guys. It's simply the way in which they operate. But it tells you something else. We are always integrated into the hierarchy as it began from the beginning, and nothing will change that. Nothing changes the fractals. Nothing changes that. And that so many of these elements, in all of our traditions, the talk of those that came to earth, well, they do. They do. They take form and they transform us. This is the nature of how the program works. And of course, when they come into form, there is their hierarchy around them. The fractal hierarchy. They're the only ones that can receive the information. They're the only ones to get the message. The only ones that were at Buddha's feet or Jesus's feet, they were the ones that were on the fractal. They were the ones that could get the message. And they're the ones who get the message first. You all have a fractal with me. I never have big groups. That's not my fractal. It doesn't work that way. Fractals are ancient, and it's all a structure. And not only is it a structure, but it's not an alien structure. It keeps on coming back. It keeps on participating in the process, because these are the only aspects that have a sense of what the whole is, what the whole of the light is, what the whole of the darkness is. These are the aspects that carry that information.
So I hope you enjoyed that. That was that was quite a celebration, I hope, for you. A bit incomprehensible for some of you, perhaps, but there will be more coming out. But it's certainly something to ponder, and I imagine that you'll be watching this video over and over again to try and work out what was going on, as I did when I first heard it, because we had no idea what he was going to talk about. Anyway, it's all fun, and if you've enjoyed that, please like, share, and subscribe, and I will be back again very soon with something completely different. Bye-bye for now.